You ever have one of those moments where the air just snaps? Like, you can feel the temperature drop because someone just dropped a truth bomb so heavy it freezes every word meter? Yeah, that was our Christmas. Aunt Beatrice's voice sliced through the chatter like a blade dipped in ice. I didn't send you a keychain, she said in suddenly silence. Dead, heavy, suffocating silence. She wasn't even looking at me. She was staring straight at my dad, Richard. Her gaze could have cracked the crystal centerpiece in half. I bought Kelsey the deed to the downtown penthouse, she said, cool as steel. She pointed at the cheap metal trinket in my hand like it was Exhibit A. So explain to me, Richard, why your daughter is sitting at the kids' table holding a $5 souvenir while Caitlin is living in the property I paid for. Boom. Forget a mic drop that was a grenade. Across the table, Caitlin froze mid-sip. Her wine glass slipped, shattered, and the sound sliced the air like a gunshot. My father looked like he'd swallowed a live battery. Beatrice stood, pressing her palms into the table. I want the keys, Richard, she said, voice trembling with calm fury. Right now. Before I tell everyone whose name is really on that deed and what my late father did when the police came knocking. For a heartbeat, the only sound was the low hum of the refrigerator. Then Caitlin let out this brittle, chiming laugh. Oh my God, Aunt Bee, you've had too much wine. You're confusing everyone. She fluttered her polished hand like she could just wave this whole scene away. That apartment is a rental. Dad knows about it, right? Her voice cracked on right. My father cleared his throat, trying to salvage his perfectly powdered dinner. Beatrice, this isn't the time, he said, tone buttery and fake. Let's not ruin the evening. Ruin the evening. That's what he cared about, keeping the illusion tidy while everything underneath was rotting. I didn't scream. I didn't throw a fit. I just felt this strange, clean coldness move through me, like the final click of a lock opening inside my chest. I stood up. Kelsey, hissed my stepmother, Monica. Sit down. I didn't. I walked past the golden lit table, past Caitlin's picture, perfect friends of the family smile, and picked up the remote for my father's new 85-inch television, the one he couldn't afford when I needed rent. Put that down, Dad warned. Instead, I pulled out my phone. Beatrice had given me remote access to the smart system just before dinner. One tap and the fake fireplace flames on the TV blinked out. A new image flickered onto the screen. Security footage. High definition, wide angle. And there it was, my downtown penthouse. My supposedly rented apartment, except the living room looked more like a nightclub in free fall. Music blasted. People danced on marble countertops with their shoes on. Someone sprayed champagne across the cabinets. A girl was lining up white powder on my glass coffee table like it was Coachella prep night. My father's prized white leather sofa? A girl in a sparkly red dress just dumped wine all over it. Oops, she yelled. Caitlin's dad is gonna kill us. A guy laughed. Whatever. Her dad pays for everything anyway. The dining room erupted in silence, deafening, stunned silence. Caitlin's face drained of color. Turn that off. It's private. I looked at her, calm as the eye of a hurricane. Private? I said. No, Caitlin. It's a crime scene. Then I turned to Dad. You see it now? That's your sofa. Your antiques. Your reputation. And guess who's the legal owner of that address? Before anyone could answer, I pressed another button on my phone. 911, I told the operator. I am reporting property destruction in real time. And I walked out. Beatrice followed me, heels clicking like a metronome of justice. We climbed into my old sedan, the one Caitlin smeared at for smelling like a thrift store caught fire. I started the engine. My hands were shaking until they weren't. Beatrice glanced over. Your knuckles are white, darling. I loosened my grip and stared out at the city skyline slicing into the night. The penthouse towered over everything. My building. My future. But my mind wasn't there. It drifted backward to 3 months earlier. It was too a.m. on a Tuesday when Dad called. "Kelsey, sweetheart, could you run to the condo?" "Caitlin's overwhelmed, her maid quit. She's got a photo shoot in the morning. Please just go." Of course I went. That's what I did. I was the family janitor cleaning up messes they pretended didn't exist. I remember the smell when I walked in. Sour wine, spilled perfume, something acidic underneath. And there she was, Caitlin, perched on the counter, scrolling through her feed while I was scrubbing wine stains out of the rug with a toothbrush. "You missed a spot," she said between spoonfuls of yogurt. "If it doesn't come out, it's coming out of your money." I looked up at her, tired beyond anger. "Caitlin, I've got work in 4 hours," she shrugged. "So? Nobody asked you to be slow." That was the night I realized the truth. I wasn't the responsible one. I was the disposable one. The fixer they could always count on because I never counted myself. That night I thought silence was love. I was wrong. It was servitude. I parked at the curb, tires squealing on the concrete. Tossed the keys to the doorman, who looked like he'd seen a ghost. The elevator ride felt eternal on my pulse, syncing with the hum of the cables. But halfway up, I heard it. The destruction. The sharp crack of glass. The guttural shriek of someone unraveling. When the doors opened, the hallway reeked of wine and panic. The penthouse door stood wide open. And there she was. Caitlin, my sister, my rival, my cautionary tale. She was in the middle of the living room, mascara streaked, hair wild, gripping a heavy brass statue like a weapon. She lifted it. Slanted down glass exploded around her like confetti at the world's cruelest celebration. "It's mine," she screamed. "All of it." "It's still mine." She spun, flinging red wine across the white walls like blood spatter in an art film gone wrong. Silk curtains shredded, furniture overturned. My inheritance dying by her hands. To anyone else, it would look like madness. To me, it looked like a psychology textbook come to life. There's this thing in behavioral science called an extinction burst. When a reward stops coming, the subject doesn't just give up, it escalates. That was Caitlin. For 23 years, every tantrum earned her a gift, every tear another bailout. Tonight, the dispenser was empty and she couldn't stand it. "Caitlin," I said carefully, stepping to the doorframe. "Stop." She turned, eyes glassy, a wine bottle's broken neck glinting in her hand. "You did this," she screeched. "You're jealous. You ruined my brand. Everyone's deaning me, saying I'm fake." I stared at her, voice flat. "They're not wrong." She kicked a hole in the wall. "If I can't have it, no one can. I'll ruin it." She started sweeping glass and art off the counters, destroying anything beautiful. My pulse should have been pounding, but instead I felt detached, a spectator to the end of an empire built on lies. Beatrice stood behind me, hands over her mouth. I didn't move to stop Caitlin. I let her tire herself out, let her destroy every remnant of her illusion, because some demons only exercise themselves through exhaustion. After what felt like hours, she collapsed. "Are you done?" I asked quietly. She blinked, trembling. For a heartbeat, she looked almost proud, like she thought she punished me. She hadn't realized she'd just given me proof. I pulled my phone from my pocket, dialed 3 numbers again. 911, what's your emergency? "Yes, I need to report felony vandalism in progress," I said, calm as a judge. "I'm the property owner. The intruder's still inside. She's armed." Caitlin froze. The bottle slipped from her hand, hitting the rug with a dull thud. "You're calling the cops on your sister," she hissed. "God, you're so dramatic." "My address is 4500 Skyline Boulevard, penthouse level," I continued. The elevator dinged. Dad stumbled out red-faced, sweating, panic plastered across his features. "Kelsey," he pleaded, grabbing my arm. "Don't. Please, just hang up. We can fix this." I looked him straight in the eye. "Like you fixed everything else?" "Look at her." He turned, saw the wine dripping from the walls. the fractured glass under Caitlin's bare feet, the chaos his enablement had built. Sirens wailed outside, getting closer. "Dad," I whispered. "This is what happens when you keep buying off guilt." Police entered minutes later. I gave them the deed, my ID, the footage, filed charges on the spot. Dad begged, threatened, bargained. "She's young. It's just furniture. This will ruin her record," I told him. "She did that herself." They cuffed her anyway. Her sobs echoed down the hall like the ghosts of every apology she'd never given. Dad pulled out his checkbook, always his weapon of choice. But Beatrice stopped him cold. She laid down the receipts, $200,000 in damage, and the guarantor agreement he had signed. For the first time, I saw him break. 3 weeks later, he'd sold off assets to cover the costs, emptied his retirement account, and handed me the restitution. I signed every paper, eyes dry, heart strangely light. Then I changed the locks. The penthouse gleamed again, rebuilt my way. Clean lines. Warm lighting, plants everywhere. My space. My rules. My name on the deed. Dad texted about court dates. I blocked him. That night, I sat on the balcony overlooking the city, glass of wine in hand, and I realized, for 32 years, I'd been cleaning up everyone else's disasters. But this time, I didn't just mop up the mess. I turned it into closure. You know, people say revenge doesn't fix anything. Maybe that's true for some, but for me, it wasn't about revenge. It was about reclamation. They trained me to serve. I taught myself to walk away. So here's to every woman who's ever been the family's fixer, the peacekeeper, the good one. Sometimes the biggest act of rebellion is to stop cleaning up and watch the truth make its own mess. Thanks for watching my story on Revenge Diary. If you felt every second of that rise from wreckage to strength, don't just scroll subscribe. And share this with someone who's finally ready to walk out of their own toxic dinner table and into the life they deserve. Because trust me, freedom looks good on you.